You are listening to the Showbiz Side Hustle Podcast, powered by PerformerPreneur. I am your host here, Nicole-Louise Geddes, and together we'll be delving into all of the ways that a showbiz side hustle can support you now and long into the future. So sit back, relax, and listen in, and together let's get inspired to take action to create the life, future, and business of your dreams. This episode is sponsored by the Showbiz Side Hustle Handbook, available on Kindle and in paperback over on Amazon. Follow the simple tasks laid out over 3 easy-to-action sections and effectively build a strong business foundation for a successful showbiz side hustle. Hello and welcome back to the Showbiz Side Hustle Podcast, where this week I'm introducing you to a fabulous client and friend. We used to know you as Gloria Miller, but now she has reinvented herself as Rainbow Glow, and that Rainbow Glow is a fantastic place to start this conversation.
Awesome.
First of all, please do introduce yourself, tell everyone what you do in the industry and out, and then we'll get down to the nitty-gritty about that really cool, massive shift and change in your identity.
Awesome. Well, as you were saying, I'm Gloria Miller, but Rainbow Glow really incorporates the totality of who I am. And that's a name that I have given myself. And yeah, I've got a lot of drama around my name, to be honest. Like I'm writing a book, as you know. And so as I'm kind of delving into my past, which is part of the teaching memoir, I'm having to, I've been looking at all these names that I've worn over my 58 years of living. And yeah, it is a minefield. So getting to the place where I could call myself Rainbow Glow is like a miracle because it really fits me. It really suits me. So as a singer, as a writer, as a radio presenter, I do loads of things as most of us do. You know, we wear a lot of hats, but underneath those hats is just me, Rainbow Glow, just me.
I've got goosebumps. Oh my God, beautiful. You have been on such a transformation and it's been in front of our very eyes. And I think that's really, amazing of you to take that journey and take everyone along with you with your music, with your name change, with all of this. It's been beautiful to watch. And I'm so happy as a friend to see you come out the other side and literally glow. Rainbow Glow is glowing. And take us to the beginning, if you don't mind. The previous conversations on the podcast leading up to today have been about change, transformation, those things that you've just said, about pivoting because of the industry that we're in, and the podcast talking about, pivoting into entrepreneurship if and when you choose. So I just feel that your story is a fantastic kind of moment to bring it all together. And from your own point of view, explain that transition period, that process, those thoughts, those worries, those highs, those lows. So over to you. Take us from the beginning to where you are now in as much detail or as concisely as you can.
Okay. Well, as with many things, I was thrown into needing to change. In 2019, I got to the place where I felt really, really lost, even though my life was great. Everything was going great. My business was going wonderful. I was setting myself up for the coming year. That was looking great. But even in the middle of that, I was just going, who am I? Where's my voice? What is my voice? And so I was getting little hints that a change was coming. And then we got into 2020 when the whole world came to a screeching halt. And that was when it really started, because all of the kind of mechanisms and all of the things that I had come up with in order to carry on exactly the way I was stopped serving me. All the little things I used to do to keep my anxiety levels down, which was basically just work until you drop. Or it was suppress your feelings, just be happy, just, put that brave face in front of everyone and just pretend like, the shit isn't hitting the fan, you know? And I just couldn't do it anymore. I just couldn't do it. After sitting in the house, you're forced in the house. In our field, all of our work dried up. So now we're like, oh my God, what am I going to do? So you have all of that going on, and the world is in collapse, and you're trying to have empathy for what's happening to people in the world, but you're also kind of focused on what am I going to do? And by the time 2021 rolled around, my mental state was pretty poor, pretty poor. I was just, yeah, I hit a wall, just one evening, my body went into fight or flight, and it stayed there for 3 weeks. And within the scary yet healing darkness, I started to see myself. I started to see who I really was outside of the label of singer, business runner, tribute artist, whatever, whatever, whatever. Outside of that, I was starting to see that I am a person that loves and wants to share and wants to help people. And I didn't actually know that was a part of my makeup. Even though that's how my mom was, she loved and mothered everybody. She was very community oriented and spirited. So I saw this as an example. So I shouldn't have been surprised that I have that same thing rumbling in me. But yeah, I just had missed it, I guess, because I was just focusing on, trying to get the next job and, trying to, be the best that you could be in what you were doing. So from having the breakdown till now, it has been a roller coaster because I started understanding my emotions. I remember I was going through therapy, which I highly recommend, talk therapy. And it was right near the end of the sessions, and we got talking about emotions. And then I just had like the light bulb popped. And I was like, gosh, I don't even understand my emotions because I've only had one. And it's been workaholic. I don't even think that's an official emotion, but it's been workaholic. It's just been work, 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 check the boxes, produce, get it done, produce, get it done. And now it's like rest is power. Rest is the revolution. Being able to sit back and not have to think about producing every second of your life. It's like you can take a break. You can enjoy this garden that the universe has given us, this incredible planet that we live on, with all the beauty that it gives us. I mean, I was driving to a dance class. Girl, you should see me in a dance class. It's comical. Okay. I am like the oldest one in there. But I love it, right? So I was driving there and noticing the trees. The green was so vibrant. And green is love. That's the energy that comes from that color. Green is love, and it's just all around us. Love is all around us, but we get so distracted by what society deems living, as opposed to what true living is. I don't think we're supposed to be working ourselves into the grave. It's like, I think we are to find what we love and find a way for that to sustain our life, as opposed to because my mom was a doctor, because my father was an engineer, then that's what I have to do. But no, I think part of being able to change is being able to let go of the expectations, because until you do that, you'll never change. You'll never
Oh,
change.
Glow, honestly, I'm beaming from ear to ear. Those of you that are watching on YouTube will see the huge smile as I'm listening along. And I'm wondering who else is listening like I am, thinking, I want to be more like Glow. I want to be more like Glow. But you hadn't, like you say, you hadn't always thought like that. You haven't always been
Mhm.
like that. You've been through a journey, you've been on a journey, sorry, you've been through a change, and you've come out the other side with this new perspective. And let go. I think it's really important. That last sentence, those last few sentences you said really resonated with me. Let go of everyone else's expectations.
Yeah.
That's a huge part of pivoting. That's a huge part of living. We can't make and be our full potential if we are doing and being and saying the things that other people expect of us. It's took me
Mhm.
a long time, Glow, to get there. And I certainly don't feel as liberated as you, but I'm definitely getting there. I pivoted from performing well before the world and my family and peers expected me to, and I created a new way and made change. And super proud of that. But it took me a long time to kind of really shout loudly about that transition. And you're doing it on behalf of all of us. And I hope that people listening can feel how liberating, how wonderful that can be. You said that you had lots of names when you have been thinking back and looking back. And I feel
Yeah.
the same, like Nicole the dancer, Nicole the mum, Nicole-Louise Geddes, Nicole-Louise, and my previous surname from before I was married. Like, just so many names. And I've spoken to you about this, and I'd love, love, love to share this insight with the listeners about your thoughts around the and names and what they hold and what they do and how we can release ourselves of them.
I mean, our name is a spell that's been put on us. That's what names are. They're spells. When you think of words, the letters, the characters that make up those words, you spell the word, right? You spell Nicole, Nicole. So that's a spell. Someone's put a spell. So your mom's put a spell on you, or your parents put a spell on you. So if you don't know what that name means, and how could you as a child, But I think as parents, you need to be very responsible with how you name your child, because that is going to influence their life, even if they don't know what that word means. If they don't know what their name means, it's still going to influence them. So for me as a child, it was always a touchy subject because I have five siblings, three brothers, two sisters. I'm the youngest. All of them had wonderful three names: first name, middle name, surname. Then they get to me and it's just first name, surname. But I didn't even know what my actual first name was until I was 5 years old. So that was my first identity crisis at 5. So, because I was called Perky as a kid because I was quite animated and, as you can see, and I was into stuff all the time, and I was doing stuff, standing before I should have, talking before I should have, just always ahead of myself. And so they started calling me Perky. So in my house, in my neighborhood, from friends, families, anybody, that was the only name I had been hearing, Perky. And I did, that's cool. So then, being the overachiever that I am, before going to school, so I'd be 5 years old going to kindergarten, and I'm asking my mom, how do you spell Perky? Because I want to be ready for school. I'm 5, okay, trying to be ready for school. And she drops this name, Gloria, on me. Oh, your name is Gloria. I'm like, the who? So can you imagine going to your first day of school and someone saying Gloria Miller, and you're just sitting there because you don't even actually know that that's your name because you only just learned it? So that was the beginning of my crazy journey with the name. So then I was irritated at my mom for only giving me the name Gloria Miller, where all of my siblings had 3 names. And then about 15 or 16, I sent off to get my birth certificate because I needed to get a passport for a trip that was coming up. The birth certificate arrives, there's no name, just Miller.
Oh,
So it was a blank line and then Miller, because my parents had not submitted my name in time for when they registered my birth. So here we go again. Now I have no name, another identity crisis. So I'm sitting around the dining room table with my two sisters, and my mother had said to me, well, you can name yourself whatever because, you know, it's blank. So it was no charge for me to put a name in. So I had gotten used to Gloria. It's a lovely name. It means glorious praise to God. So that's a good name to hold on to. And then I decided on this middle name of Lynette. And I'm gonna be honest with you, even just saying it now, it's never resonated with me. Never. But that's what I landed on. And then I carried on with that name. So now you have Gloria Lynette Miller, and then you have also singer, cruise ship worker, marketing person, you get all of these other things cropped up on top of it. And living in America, where if you're a person of color and you want to succeed, you have to assimilate. You have to code switch. You have to, change yourself in order to fit. So I worked in corporate America when I got right out of high school. So that would have been like from 18 to 30, I was working in corporate America. And I was just stuffing myself into the idea of what would be acceptable
Mhm.
to the majority that was around me. And you get to the point where you don't even know you're doing it. It becomes such a survival mechanism that you get lost in it, and that carried on into my career in entertainment because at 30, I moved to Florida, started working for Disney. That's when I really got my feet into professional performing. So it was already a late bloomer. I was 30 years old when that happened. I had been singing in choirs and gospel music and stuff leading up to that. But this was a real change going to Florida. And the thing about that change, I mean, I encourage everyone listening, everyone watching to have a drastic change because it's awesome to be able to reinvent yourself. Now, it's harder when you're not like packing up and moving to another place because my first well, actually, that was my second reinvention. I'm always reinventing. So it was my second reinvention was me going to Florida so I could uproot from Chicago, go to Florida. Nobody knows me, so I can be whoever I want to be. But the change from Gloria Miller to Rainbow Glow is happening in real time. Like I'm not, it's happening. And that's way harder because I was kind of afraid to show that side of myself, wondering what people would think as we do. And then I finally got to the point where I can't concern myself with what people are going to think. I have to only concern myself with what's going to best serve me. And that's where I am. So it's like change, even though it's scary, it is such a boost to everything, just the idea of something new. Society does not promote change. They want you to work a job until you die. They want you to get married and stay married for years and years and years. And years. I'm married, so don't think I'm anti-marriage. But a lot of what society throws on us is to find one thing and stick. And I just think it's vital that you make drastic change at least once in your life. You need to make a drastic change just for you. Just for you, because you will find out things about yourself. You will learn what you're made of. Yeah, I highly recommend that. So, yeah, so the battle continues with the name, but I feel like I've truly landed on the one that when I hear people call me that, it springs joy in me. When someone says, "Hey, Rainbow," I'm like, "Woo!" I mean, even Glow. If you just call me Glow, that does the same thing.
Yeah.
My friend Veronica, I just saw a picture of her today on Facebook. I haven't seen her in years. And she started calling me Glow. She was the first one. And I was like, what is that? That was my 20s. So that little nickname of Glow definitely was like the beginning of getting to the name that really suited me. So, I mean, I don't know why I had to go through all of these names. I have some thoughts on it. My thought is for the work that I am now calling my life's work, I had to go through all of these journeys with my name and realize that the power of your name, like that name Rainbow, I mean, rainbow is energy. Rainbow is what we see in that spectrum between black and white. That's rainbow. So that's just energy. And then glow is also energy. So, I must have been destined to do energy work.
I would wholeheartedly agree. You are destined to do energy work. The energy that exudes out of you when you speak, when you smile, when you sing, it to me it's blatantly obvious now. I'm like, we're all like, well, yeah, of course. And so it's just beautiful because you're making change sound so magical and amazing. And it is, but it's also in the previous conversations, it's scary. It's got
Very
a
too.
cycle. There's highs and there's lows. But I think this conversation is really magical and encouraging for listeners to see and hear that, yes, we've got these highs and these lows and these dramatic curtain calls and exit strategies and problems and all the rest of it, but ultimately if you lean into it and you follow your own energy, the change will take you to where you're meant to be. And I
Mhm.
hold my hand up and agree with that because I've done many a change through my lifetime. I always say the confidence of the performing arts has helped me to navigate that change. Like I've put on the smile, the lipstick, the eyelashes, and I've got on with it. And we've been taught those skills. But ultimately, each change has led me to the next version of me. And
Right.
agree, yeah, it's just such a wonderful reflection when you look back and you see that change. I was thinking, Glow, when you were speaking. Yes, we're worried about what people think. Yes, people might drop off on the wayside and not move with us and change with us, but other
Mhm.
people are drawn to us. For instance, you and I, we have been in each other's circles and worlds for so many years, and this
Long
brand new
time.
change in both of us has brought us together. Our energies are now absolutely aligned. There was
Yeah.
meant, at some point, this was meant to happen.
Yeah.
You have to go
Absolutely.
through these cycles, you have to go through these changes. You might lose people, and that feels scary, but you'll also gain people as well, and
Mhm.
that align with where you are in your life. And so, that to me, as I was listening, I was like, we've been there, friends in each other's worlds for a very long time. But since these changes that you and I have both made, you with your glow up and move across the world. Like we've come into each other's spaces even more so and supported each other through that. So I am glad and grateful of the changes we've both made that have brought us together.
Yeah.
Hopefully the listeners will be thinking, okay, I wonder what the universe has got ready for me on this other side of change.
That's how we should be living. It's like every day you wake up, your eyes should pop open going, hey, universe, what's up? What you got cooking for me today? Instead of, the night before you set up your to-do list and you got 25 things on there, and that's what you wake up to you thinking, oh, I got these 25 things. I finally stopped doing that. Finally, I mean, I have a to-do list, don't get me wrong, but I don't have any due dates on the stuff that I want to do. I just put it on there. I want to get around to it eventually, but I've got no due dates. And that has been like I've given myself a precious gift. Because now when I wake up in the morning, I am like excited, like, oh, what I'm gonna get into today. And I try to follow my instincts. Like even like today, for instance, I got up, my husband is away, our house is being redecorated. So it's been a shambles in here. So with him out of our bedroom, I was able to straighten it up and make it nice. And then I came in the office and I worked on some music, but I hadn't planned on doing any of it. I worked on some music because, yeah, there's a song I need to get finished. So worked on that a little bit. But the idea of not tying myself to the deadline has given me space, has given me freedom. And I'm going to be talking a lot on my YouTube channel about the Black chakra. I'll show you this card that I pulled.
Mhm.
So it represents the Black chakra. And that's actually what kind of propelled me into this work. I had already known about the rainbow chakras, the seven chakras, the colors of the rainbow that we all know. But I was like, well, there has to be a Black one and a white one because otherwise you couldn't have the rainbow. So that got me started. So I'm looking into the Black chakra and the white chakra because they're really the same. They're the same energy. They're just two sides of the same. But that's all of us. Every single one of us, we have this duality of our left side and our right side, and we have our feminine energy and our masculine energy. That's everybody. We all have that duality. So looking at the Black chakra and the white chakra in relation to the other ones, man, that's been a real exciting journey because Black and white, we make, such a big deal about, black and white things, but those colors are invisible. They don't even actually exist. Black just is a key, that's that key color. So it just is. And white, you can't have white without having all of the other colors. Yeah. So Black is on one end, kind of absorbing the light that's shining over here. And that's how we get the rainbow. So it's like when you think of, race relations in the world, really, it's like, why are we fighting when we are actually doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing? Our energies balance. That's how we're able to have the rainbow. So I'm done fighting this fight. I'm tired. I can't fight it anymore. So I love everybody. You could be polka dot, purple, pink. I do not care because I'm attracted to your energy. And energy can be any color, like I can look at you and well, let me see what color I see around you. Oh, pink.
Pink?
It's
I'm
nice. That's
definitely not
high.
a pink, but what's
That's
pink? Tell
high
me.
heart, though. That's the high love. Because our heart chakra is in three parts. They don't talk about it being in three parts. Normally they talk about the two parts of the heart chakra, but it's actually three parts. So you have the earthly part, which is the color brown, and that mimics what we see in nature. And then you have green, which is in the middle. That's the earthly love. And that, again, in the trees, we see green. In the grass, we see green. And then in the pink, which is like the blossoms, the blooms, that's the high love. That's the, like I always, when I'm talking about the heart chakra, I always think about Wicked that we're going to see at some
Yes,
point
yes.
together. Green being represented and pink being represented. And because those two colors, when you mix them together, they make the color brown, so then you have this whole thing. So love is its own spectrum and it sits right in the middle of our being. And you're shining this really nice pink color around you.
I love hard glow. So it's funny you say that. I think one of my biggest downfalls is just loving so hard and wanting to help and save and support and, be that anyone really.
Yeah.
Again, when the chaos of the COVID hit and I had that time and that space, I really found clarity in that. And it was community and support. And that's when PerformerPreneur set up. So it's
Yeah.
interesting that that is the color and that is what you're saying about me because I feel it. I actually feel it all. I feel everybody's everything. And it's a burden and a noose as well as a joy there. But so yeah, how interesting.
But I remember when you were starting your performerpreneur during lockdown. I remember, yeah, I was so thankful that you were doing something to kind of keep us entertainers from going off the rails. You were telling us pivot, find something else to do. But that was so important. That was so important. So yeah, thank you for following your heart and sharing that love because I mean your book, as we've talked about before, has really helped me, and I'm sure it's helping many other people. And your podcast and all the things that you do. And here, this is what's beautiful about the time that we are in It's like there's so much space for all of us. There is absolutely no reason that I should be concerned with you being more successful than me. It's like there's plenty of us. There are people that you are destined to reach. There are people that I am destined to reach. Some of that might happen in collaboration, like we're doing now, but you will always have my support. You will always have it because I got nothing to lose by supporting you. I don't have to worry about that. And I feel the same from you. I know that you support me. I know that, I mean, you've invited me on your show, that support in itself. So, and I think for women, all of us, I mean, this is our time now. This is the hour of feminine energy and the masculine energy that is not toxic, because we have that energy. We carry that energy as well. But, women, we're the creators. We make life. We carry life, we nurture life, we create life. So we have got to stop this infighting as women and come together because once we do, oh my gosh, once we do, the patriarchy will have had it, because I mean, come on, they're messing it up. And I'm not anti-man. I'm sorry, I'm having work done. Can you hear the word?
No, but if it's work men, they're going to be putting down their tools in a minute.
I know. So I'm not anti-men. Don't, yeah, 100% I am not that. But it's the toxic energy. And it's like women, we've got to start calling that toxic energy when we're faced with it. Because we tend to shy away and not call people on the carpet. I mean, you have to be careful now because people are crazy. But, I had a situation, I was in the car and this guy totally cut me off. It was like nearly an accident causing cutoff. And then he only ended up at the light. So I get to the light, I roll down the window. I'm like, was it worth it for you to get to this red light, having nearly killed me back there? But I was saying it lightly and in a way. And then he said, oh, I didn't realize. So we actually ended up having a very positive exchange, but I was like, no, if I've got an opportunity to say, you need to do better and you need to slow down. So I told him, I said, you need to slow down. He's like, okay, okay, okay.
Good on you. And I think there's something, within all this, like you're saying, because of that resistance to change that so many people have. So even though they might be feeling it, even though they're definitely going to be feeling it from this conversation, there'll still be a large percentage of the population that are resistant to change. They don't know how to handle change. And so to implement change in themselves and the world around them is just going to blow their minds. Like it's not going to happen. But people like you and I, and there's plenty of people that are really pushing and showing and shining the light on the way to this change
Yeah.
and how positive it can be. And I think that's super important. So wherever you are, listeners, on this spectrum of change, whether you resist it, push against it, or if you are joining Gloria and I on the front line with our pickets to get everything moving and changing, it is really individual. Like it does not matter, but just note where you are and just take a small step further forward each time, which is our conversation previously with Kat. Just keep on that cycle of change, keep pushing yourself out of that comfort zone, and you will get to this place that you're destined to be. And we are destined to be there. Like we can't actually push against change forever, be that small personal things or big worldwide things. We're going to slowly get there. Glow, we've spoken a lot, but we haven't actually mentioned. So within this change and this pivot and this transformation from Gloria Miller, predominantly the singer and the businesswoman, to Rainbow Glow, still the singer, still making music, but also you've alluded to light healing and energy healing.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you want to tell? In fact, no, you do want to tell. Let me rephrase that. Please tell
Okay.
the listeners how they can work with you, what it is that you now do, because I'm sure, like me, they're listening to this conversation, they're feeling your energy, and they want to know a little bit more. They probably want to dip into this because it feels so beautiful and healing, even just listening to you on a podcast. So tell us a bit more about the new work that you do and how we can support you and work with you.
Well, a great start would be to have me do a name energy oracle reading. And I did one for Nicole and sent it to her, but she was in the middle of an earthquake at the time. So
I've got
she's only gotten around to seeing it today.
I got it. I'll read it out in a minute. But yes, I was preoccupied at that point. But thank you. And I will read it out to the viewers in a minute, the viewers and listeners in a minute. But carry on because it's so beautiful what you do.
Yes, so I'll take your first and last name. I can also include a middle name if you choose, and then I do a deep dive. I look at I've kind of coined this thing that I do is etymystic. So it's like etymology, but more on the mystic side, because etymology looks at words, but it just looks at the bits, but not how they actually connect. And what I like to do with words, because I've always loved them, for as long as I can remember, I've loved words. And so I like to look at them back to front. I'll see a word forward, and I say, well, what does it look like backwards? And I'm like, well, what other words are in between those, within those words? So that's what I'll do with your name. And then I'll come up with like one positive word that can be made from your name, one negative, and show how these words could be impacting you. They might not be, but that's a place to start. So I do that either online, or if you're in this area, I'll be starting to do them in person in June, so next month. But for now, I do them online. And yeah, it's a great way to have an introduction to the work that I do. And then from there, if you want to continue, then you would book a what I call Fabulosity Energy Boost. And that is to just keep your energy popping, make sure that you're on track if there's things that you're trying to accomplish, or maybe, you need to chill. It's very intuitive. So it just depends on, once we sit face to face, what comes up. But the tools that I use are our chakra energy centers. I use crystals. I got my favorite one here. This one is Black Obsidian because I'm doing a lot of work with the Black Chakra. So I have this sitting on my desk. So I do some energy working with the crystals, also with essential oils, candles. Yeah, so it just depends. But you can go to my website, and we'll put a link where you can find out more about that. So that's a great way for us to work together initially. And it's really about tapping into the stuff that sits at our core, because our world is very superficial. Everything is surface.
Mhm.
So the work that I do gets to the core, because at our core, that connects to the universe, that connects to the time before time. That core is like it's in every one of us. We've got this one because we're just one thing. We're just fragments of one thing. So the core of us is where we connect. So I like to get to that core. That's where we remember who we really are. And as you're remembering, you might need to change your name. You might need to be like, you know what, I can't be called this anymore because this has too much drama attached to it. This has too much. I need to let that go. But that comes from looking deep within. And for me, it started with that breakdown that I had, those 3 weeks that I was in fight or flight. I was in darkness. It was like pitch black darkness. That's what it felt like. And somehow, though, in that pitch black darkness was a tiny little spark, a tiny little spark. And that spark was there at the time before time. I saw me the time before time. And I want other people to have that experience where you see yourself so clearly. You'll still have to kind of fight for it because, life happens. You can't live in this bubble and cocoon. I wish we could, but we can't. So life will happen. But once you get a glimpse of the absolute stunning being that you are, and I don't care what you've done, I don't care what you've done. Every single one of us have the capacity for extreme good and extreme evil and everything in between. We all have that capacity. So I don't care what you've done. You are amazing. You have a spark in you that is phenomenal, that is not like anybody else's. I mean, all the stuff that's on this planet, you're unique. I'm unique. And there's stuff that nobody can do on this planet but me. And there's stuff that nobody can do on this planet but you. But you gotta fight to keep your spark alive. Don't let it get blown out because it's much, much, much harder to relight the flame. So always keep it burning. Yeah.
Beautiful, absolutely stunning, so exciting. Honestly, if people are watching on YouTube, I'm like with bated breath, like waiting for the next word. I am fascinated by everything you're saying. Let me read out before we draw this to a close what you think about my name to give them, the listeners, an insight of what they get from you if they joined you for a name call. And by the way, I love the word fabulosity.
Fabulosity, baby. I'm getting that trademarked.
You absolutely should. Okay, this is what Gloria said about my name. Nicole-Louise Geddes. Nicole carries the quiet fire, still but scorching, the kind of power that walks in and shifts the room without a sound. Louise is your own permission slip, light made flesh, glowing with a yes that doesn't need explaining. And Geddes is the gate. You decide what gets through. Your name reads like a spell that's waking up. Something ancient is shifting. I love that. And so I'm going to read that a few more times because, as we just said, that got sent to me mid-earthquake. And so Gloria was obviously thinking about me and my safety without even knowing. Subconsciously, I was on your mind at that point. But it's a beautiful way to start the energy conversation. It's a beautiful way to be introduced to you. And I would ask all of the listeners to come and find you on social media, through your website, through your music. We haven't even had time to talk about your music.
There's music. I have a really awesome blog section on my website talking about all the energy, and it talks about more. I mean, you'll see the real evolution that I'm going through my blog, because I started blogging probably 2018 or so. So you'll see a bit of an arc of how I've grown. And if I could just say like one final thing is like, change is inevitable because we are meant to evolve. Everything is evolving, everything. So changing should be as natural as breathing, because evolution is as natural as breathing. So don't be scared. Go for it.
Go for it. And if you need support from Gloria or I, then we are here to help you with that as well. We are here. Gloria, we could talk for hours. I'm going to say goodbye because I'm pretty sure all the listeners are desperate to go to the show notes to find the website, to find the music, to find the link to come and speak to you about their name. So please do, listeners, do exactly that. Head to the show notes, find Gloria on Instagram, the website, blog post, music, radio station, like she's got it all going on. Go find the avenue to glow that's going to give you the feeling that I get, which is just absolute energy when I'm surrounded by your energy glow. So thank you so much, and yeah, I look forward to reading the book. I look forward to hearing the next pod, all of these things. It's an absolute privilege, and it's been a privilege to be part of your journey and to support you on this transformation as well.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay, guys, that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you for joining me here on the Showbiz Side Hustle Podcast. So until next time, please do take a little bit of action, that very first step, and make sure that you are doing something for you and your Showbiz Side Hustle this week to move you forward and get you heading quickly and swiftly and strategically towards success.